In a small town nestled between mountains, lived a young boy named Rohan. He was passionate about running and dreamed of winning the town's annual marathon, a race known for its grueling 15-kilometer stretch through steep hills and rough terrain. The dream and the challenge. Rohan had never run such a long race before, but his heart was filled with determination. When he shared his dream, some laughed at him. "You're too young, you can't do it," they said. Even his legs ached after just a few kilometers of running, making him doubt himself. But one person believed in him, his grandfather, a retired runner. The training begins. One morning, Rohan sat on a bench, exhausted after failing to complete a 5-kilometer practice run. His grandfather sat beside him and said, "A marathon is not just about speed, but endurance. Strength comes not in a day, but in every step you take." With those words, Rohan began training every day. He ran a little further each day, pushing his limits. He woke up before sunrise, disciplined in his routine. He ignored negativity and visualized crossing the finish line. There were days his legs burned with pain, but he never gave up. His grandfather reminded him, "The body will give up before the mind does. Train your mind to push forward." The race day. Finally, the marathon day arrived. Hundreds of experienced runners stood at the starting line. Rohan felt nervous, but his grandfather's words echoed in his mind. "Focus on your run. One step at a time." The race began. At 5 kilometers, his legs started to ache, but he pushed forward. At 10 kilometers, many runners started slowing down, but he remembered his training. At 13 kilometers, he felt his energy draining, but he kept saying to himself, "One more step, one more step." As he approached the final kilometer, the cheering crowd grew louder. With one final burst of strength, Rohan sprinted forward and crossed the finish line, not first, but among the top 10. The lesson: success is in endurance. Tears filled Rohan's eyes as he looked at his grandfather, who stood proudly clapping. "You did it," his grandfather said. "I didn't win," Rohan replied. "You finished what you started, that is the real victory." From that day on, Rohan understood that success is not about how fast you go, but about never giving up. Moral of the story. White heavy checkmark: success is about endurance, not just speed. White heavy checkmark: progress happens step by step, small efforts add up. White heavy checkmark: the biggest battle is not with others, but with yourself. White heavy checkmark: keep going, even when it gets tough, persistence leads to victory. Like life, a marathon is not about being the fastest, but about finishing despite the challenges. Man running flex biceps fire.